Hello and welcome to another podcast. We've got Daniel here with us today, and we are going to play some test drive. And we're going to start actually with a very brief race that we just thought up before before starting this, and it is who can put the roof on their convertible down the fastest. So, right, where are the options for it? Okay, are you ready? Are you ready with your roof button?
I am ready, yes.
Okay, it's gone again. Start putting the roof down in 3, 2, 1, go!
Go! Come on.
I had to reopen the accessories menu. Come on, Alpha! Win at least this bit.
Come on.
Wait for it. Look at that.
Come on.
And that's done. Alpha wins. Woo!
Oh, God.
Probably the only thing the Alpha will ever win.
Yeah, won't win anything else. It'll win the look. It'll win the looking contest.
It will win the looks contest, but yeah, apparently it's not the best car to drive in the world. Anyway, yes, we're going to do another podcasty sort of thing, and in the meantime, we are going to go for a bit of a drive on test drive because this is what the game's
who wouldn't
best
want
for.
to?
Yeah, exactly. It's a fantastic game for just sort of cruising about. Anyway, let's get started. I will press the wrong button. It's very weird going from Forza to go into this game because all the buttons do different things. No, I want to look behind, and it's not that button. I keep changing camera angle. Oh god, I'm going to screw up the gears and the camera angles on this game a fair bit because why do racing games
both are?
Why do racing games have to have different sets of controls? Can't they just be sort of a general? We're going right here, by the way.
Oh, for God.
Yeah, we might get lost a few
Good
times.
start.
I wish racing games would all have just sort of like a default setting for all the gears and for the camera controls and everything, so that when you change between them, you don't end up pressing random buttons. It's very annoying. Anyway, that's
you gonna wait up or?
I am waiting. I've hit a car.
Oh, you!
It took all of 2 minutes for the first accident, and we didn't move for the first minute and a half. Oh dear, it's going to be a long journey and fairly expensive journey. Anyway, we're going to start today talking about
podcasts. We're supposed to be doing something.
Yes, we're supposed to be talking about stuff. We're going to start today, ironically, talking about sort of hybrid electric and alternative fuels. And I do realise, as I drive through a red light, that we are driving some sort of supercars. But anyway, ignoring that bit. The car I want to talk about, actually, or the reason why I want to talk about this, is because I have recently seen the Tesla Model S. Some of you might have heard of this. Whoops. May have crashed Daniel off the road.
What are you doing?
Sorry, the controls. I'm going to blame wonky handling models on here. Anyway, your boot is open. You're currently going along at like 80 miles an hour with an open boot. Anyway,
that will cause some problems.
I'm getting distracted. Yes, the Tesla. Yes. The Model S is the first time I have ever seen a hybrid electric sort of alternative fuel car, with the exception of the Tesla Roadster. It's the only one that actually looks like a proper car. It's the only one that I wouldn't mind driving. And
it does look very nice.
It looks very cool. And I don't get why companies seem to think that they have to make a car look completely different, completely sort of stand out from everybody, just because it's an electric car or it's a hybrid car. They're already costing an absolute fortune over their petrol sort of counterparts, or for the equivalent kind of petrol vehicle. So why on earth would you make the car hideously ugly and then charge us a fortune? I can't see why anyone would buy that, like the Nissan Leaf, for example.
I don't know. It's because I think people they want to have a car that looks different because it's standing out, saying, "Look at me, I'm doing good to the environment." When you can only drive 6 feet before it runs out of charge.
Yeah, I don't get why would anybody spend 30 odd grand on a Nissan Leaf. I know there are like subsidies you get from the governments. It depends on where you live or how that stuff works. But you're still going to pay an absolute fortune for it, and it looks terrible. It looks like a blooming platypus. Oh god, it's hideous. The BMW is even worse. I can't remember what it's called. It's like i3 or something. Some electric thing from BMW that's utterly hideous, and it will cost you a fortune again. Tesla are the only ones who have done this right. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against sort of alternative fuels. It's inevitable. We are going to run out of oil. Or actually no, we're not going to run out of We're not going to run out of oil. We're just going to run out of easily accessible oil. It's going to cost so much that we can't afford to run cars on it. So we are going to have to change, and that's fair enough. I can't argue that. As much as I like old cars, I cannot argue the fact. Oh, there's a bike had a crash in front of me.
I've discovered a hairdresser. Sorry.
Yeah,
so I'd say that.
It's inevitable that we are going to have to change, and that's fine by me, okay? I like old cars, but yes, we are going to have to change how we do things. It's just the way the world works. However, the current solution with the electric cars isn't really working because, well, first of all, there's the range issues on them. Most of the ones that are currently out can't do more than like 100 and something miles. The Model S has apparently or allegedly gone, I think it was 300 and something it set a record for. Now that's actually
Something
sensible
like that.
distance. That's a decent amount of time charging
you
it.
could quite happily commute. Well, admittedly, if you lived fairly close to work, or you could quite happily commute to and from work for a week. Quite like that.
And the problem with the other electric cars as well, like the things like the Nissan Leaf, I don't know if they've changed it recently, but certainly with the original one, it took like 24 hours to charge or something, and it could go, 80 miles or 100 miles or something like that? So you drive, like for example, if I'm going to my girlfriend's, that's 80 miles away, or it's around about 80 miles there. So I could take a Nissan Leaf and I could get just about to there, providing there wasn't any traffic, of course.
Provided you didn't have the radio on.
Yeah, you didn't have the radio on,
aircon on,
couldn't have any aircon on, couldn't have the windows open. I could just about get there and then have to wait 24 hours before you could go anywhere else, as Daniel has a crash. And that just seems stupid to me. The fact that if a car can do sort of 300 miles, that's fine. That's much more sensible as sort of distance. I know there is some sort of I wouldn't say criticism, but then there's some controversy over the actual distance. I'm not quite sure how it worked, but yeah, even if the Model S can do 200 miles, that's still fairly reasonable. I wouldn't have a problem with that. The reason why actually the Tesla was brought to my attention was because it broke all the records for the crash safety tests. Because the fact that it's an electric car means it can have a lot of crumple zones because there's not a great big engine in the front. So it's apparently a very, very safe car, which I guess is...
I would like to have a crash in it. That would be the one car I'd probably be okay with having a crash in. Not that I'm saying crashing is a good thing, it's not.
No.
Even though that we do quite a lot of it, such as Will It Roll, pretty much every setup challenge. Yeah, cars are obviously getting more safe, and the electric cars are safer than others because, like Alex said, there's not much engine. There's no engine in the car at all.
Yeah, so
they can have more crumple zones.
Yeah, and be generally safer.
But yeah, Tesla are probably the most. I think they're the most sensible because they made a sports car, an electric sports car that doesn't look silly, and they've now made the Model S, which is a very good-looking car. And it's not stupid. It doesn't do 6 miles and then it runs out of charge. It will actually do a decent amount of mileage as well.
Yeah.
So they've really got it right, I think.
Yes, it makes a change to see somebody doing it right. With the alternative fuel stuff. Also, I love when I was reading about it. I guess in one of the crash tests they have to get the car on its roof. I'm assuming to test safety if the car rolls over or whatever. And apparently the people at the crash test place were having difficulties getting the car to roll over because the batteries are all in the bottom. So it's apparently very hard to roll over. So can we please have it in Forza 5? Because I would like to try Will It Roll. Where on earth are you going? You've gone to visit the seaside.
I'm trying to reset my car. Oh, it doesn't work. Damn it.
There's a little bit of damage on these cars.
Can we limit the speed to like 70?
All right.
When something like that happens, can't really do much at 130.
So yes, as far as all sort of alternative fuels and that kind of things go, the Tesla Model S, I'll put a picture on the screen at some point during this because I actually think it's a really good looking car, and yeah, I'll be perfectly happy to drive one of them. I think we've covered everything on that for now. Oh, actually,
we've covered everything on hybrid cars, yes.
One more thing. People who use the excuse of, a hybrid car or an electric car has to look different because they have to put all the batteries and the motors and all of that sort of thing around, that is a load of crap. Look at the Tesla Roadster. That is basically a Lotus Elise. It's near enough the same. It looks almost identical.
It's the same chassis, sort of, and it's,
It has how many thousands? Like 5,000 batteries or something stupid like that. It could
Some
be
stupid amount.
It could be well more than that. I can't remember. It has many thousands of batteries, and that still manages to look like a sports car. The Model S still manages to look like a decent saloon car. So you cannot use the excuse of they have to do all of this stupid bodywork to hide all of the things. They really don't. If the Tesla can do it properly, I can't see why BMW and all the other companies that make them have to do that kind of thing. Anyway, we'll get off we'll get to cars actually.
Otherwise, Alex is going to start getting angry.
Yeah, well, no, it's not angry. It's just there is much stupidity, or there can be much stupidity. So we shall get off talking about hybrid cars, and we shall get actually off talking about cars.
Moving drastically on.
We shall swap direction very quickly. Right. We shall talk about music, actually. I saw this question. It was asked on the forums. Someone asked, what sort of music are we into? So I'll let Daniel go first, since he actually knows about music and plays guitar.
Oh dear, there's a car there.
He tried to overtake the fire engine.
Yeah. Fire engine, truck, car, vehicle, whatever. Yes, music, I have a very weird, well, not a weird taste, but I have an unusual taste for someone of my age. A lot of people my age, 16, 17 years old, people are into rap, Eminem and stuff like that. I'm into really old sort of stuff, like Dire Straits. I love Dire Straits. They're an amazing band. And other stuff like that, Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC. I like all of that sort of really old, well, not really old, but sort of the 80s stuff and the 70s stuff. I love all them bands. My favourite band, just like ever, is Foo Fighters. That's F-O-O, not food, as a lot of people say it. Foo Fighters. They're just, I love them so much. They're just a really solid alternative rock band, and they are sort of like my version of the greatest band ever. They make music. They don't do it for the money. Not that was a bad thing.
They're a band. They make music. That's very insightful there from Daniel.
Yeah, they don't do it for the money. They just do it because they like to make music, and they just like having a laugh. That is pretty much. I was watching their documentary, and I think right at the end of the documentary that they made, the lead singer Dave Grohl, he said something. He was like, if I'd have taken this band seriously, I would have never named it the Foo Fighters. That's just like, that one quote is just him, just sort of like, doesn't take anything seriously. He's just like, oh, I need to go hit. Like, yeah, he just doesn't take it seriously. He just does it for a laugh, which is what I love. I don't really. Most of my other band I just like because they have decent music. I like Bastille. They're quite a good band. Paramore, stuff like that. So I'm not just all of my stuff is old stuff. I do like quite a lot of new stuff, but I hate rapping. I just hate that sort of stuff. That does not appeal to me in any way, shape or form.
Yes, I agree.
Eminem and all that. You agree on that, don't you?
Dubstep and all of that crap. Yeah, I hate all that. Could you slow down? I had a minor incident.
Yeah, sorry, I was
getting
confused. Right, limit it, 70. I keep forgetting the limiter.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard on racing games to actually limit yourself to a sensible speed, because it's so easy just to end up going very fast. Anyway, back on
your turn.
Topic. Also, actually, while we're here, a few people have asked this before. The outro music that was once the intro music, that was made up by Daniel. He recorded that, made all that up himself. So it's not from anything. It's
not from anything. I haven't taken it from anything. I haven't taken any idea. I've literally. It took 10 minutes or less than that.
Yeah,
I just went. I want to do an intro, and I want to make some music. And like 5 minutes later, I went. I'm finished, and that was it. It has been revised. I've put another guitar in the background. But yeah, that is I made that all myself. I was quite impressed with it. I'm happy with how that came out.
Yeah, it was good. It was not bad for not very long. It took to come up with. Anyway, yes. Onto my music taste. I hate trying to characterize things into genres because it never works. It's impossible to try and characterize the music that I listen to into any sort of genre. So I'll give you my 3 favourite bands, of which one of you will probably have heard of. I doubt any more of you will have. And they are The Unguided, Dead by April, and Sonic Syndicate. YouTube that stuff, and then you'll get an idea of my sort of music. It's impossible to try and characterise them. And the funny thing is, I know none of you will have heard of them, or one of you probably will. And you are a great person. The one of you who does know them. Yeah, that's my sort of music. And yeah, I am very much in agreement with Daniel in that most of the stuff that I guess you'd say teenagers and sort of people my age, sort of 20-ish-year-olds listen to, I cannot stand all that dubstep and dance and all that sort of crap. It gets on my nerves. So yes, we are in agreement on that. I think that's covered music pretty well.
Yeah,
Can't think of anything else.
It's not. We don't just like them. We like other things as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we both like, obviously there's bands that we like, but not to the extent of like The Unguided or Dead by April or Foo Fighters, stuff like that. Like Trivium have got a good couple of songs that I really like. But a lot of their songs are screamo. I don't like that sort of stuff. But it's just a couple of songs that they've done that I really like. And there's a lot of bands. Dead by April, is it? Last Goodbye. I love that song so much. That's a fantastic song. But other songs I don't necessarily like. So, yeah, but there are proper bands that we will listen to most of their music, if not all. Moving on. Yes. Next one.
This is still sort of off topic from cars. So I saw somebody else asked what are our favourite movies. So Daniel, you can go first.
Joy.
Let's do a top three, because it's impossible.
Top three.
It's impossible to say one favourite movie, I think, because there's so many good films out there. So
God. Now,
do you want me to go first?
So, yeah, you go first. Actually,
all right, I'll go first. I'll go first to give Daniel some time to think. In the top three, in no particular order, because I couldn't possibly try to order these. Death Race is going to have to be in there. It's not clever. It's very silly, and I don't care because it's still amazingly entertaining. It's just a fantastic film and incredibly dumb, but I really don't care. And I suspect most of you would have seen it, because it's just fantastically action-packed. So if you haven't seen it, I don't know where on earth you've been living. Go watch it, because it's great. It'll probably be on TV sooner or later. It seems to be on TV all the time. So at least that's in England and about other places. But yeah, that's a really great film. Another one is Gladiator. I love Gladiator. That's a really good film. I like that era of history. Sort of, it was a very violent, very almost primitive sort of era of history, but it's also absolutely fascinating. Sort of like Romans, Greeks, and all that kind of thing. And Gladiator is a really, really good film. It goes on forever. It's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or something stupid like that. It's really, really long film, but it's a very, very good film. Again, it's fairly gory.
But most things were.
Well, yeah, back then a lot of things were. I know it's not historically accurate particularly, but it's still a very good film. And my final one is Zombieland. That is the most fantastic zombie film ever. It's really, really funny. It's one of the few times, actually, that a zombie film has managed to kind of be entertaining without being kind of... It's not a horror. It's sort of an action comedy with zombies that actually work. I can't explain how it works. It's just brilliant. So I really recommend... never mind. I really recommend you watch Zombieland if you haven't. I'm sure you will. Most of you probably will have seen Zombieland, but it's probably the best zombie film in my opinion. I really couldn't think of anything I'd change about it, other than the fact that there's not a sequel. I would like a sequel to Zombieland, but other than that, yeah, they are my three favourite movies. So Daniel, your turn. Have you thought in time?
Right. Now, when you say movies, does this come under the category of sort of anything, documentaries or anything like that?
I guess if there's I've seen a Shelby Daytona wreck. Don't mind me. I've pressed the guide button as well, which is really clever of me.
I've got to stop.
So I pressed the guide button. I was trying to get the camera to look at the Daytona, and I crashed. Sorry. Yeah, it counts as documentaries, sort of if like they were in cinema. If it was like a movie, like Senna, I'm guessing is what you're thinking of.
Yes.
That counts.
This is again in no particular order. Senna has got to be one.
Senna is a very good film.
Just a fantastic film. One that I found Senna quite not weird, but I found it well, yeah, I suppose weird in the way that it's a really good film. But you know what? Because unlike most films and documentaries that you watch, you don't necessarily know all of the story as to what happens. But with Senna, everyone who went to see it knows what's coming.
Yeah,
I think that was when you get about halfway, when you start, listening, or when you start watching about the problems he had, and just his racing in general, you then start to think, you know what's going to come in about, an hour or so. And then when it does come, it hits you quite. It's a weird feeling when you finally see what happens when he crashes. They don't say much about that. They said, "Oh, there's a car just moved." Oh no, it didn't. Yeah, they don't say much about when he crashed. But the video, the footage of what happened, that was enough to sort of put in the picture of what happened. That was enough to sort of give a representation of what people felt.
Yeah.
And that was just a brilliant film, a brilliant documentary. They got that absolutely perfect in pretty much every way. I can't really think of anything they could have done better, to be honest. It's probably the best documentary I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of documentaries, and it was just amazing. So that's one of them. The second one, oh god, there's so many films I have seen.
There are many good films out there.
God, I'm gonna go with Hot Fuzz. I love that film.
Yeah, that's fairly in.
That's just a film. That's just a film that was never designed. It was never pretty much like Zombieland. It was never really designed to be serious. And when it tried to be serious, there's a bit where Danny and what's his name? The guy who plays Simon Pegg. Can't remember his name. Nick. No, not Nick. No, that's Dan. I don't know. Yeah, there's a bit where them two are talking, and it's supposed to be so serious, but you just can't help laughing because of what they're saying and how they're saying it. It's just, I don't know. It tried to be serious, it just never was. And I really like that. Oh, good grief! God, that was a jump. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I really like that. That was a good film. And then I don't know. Third one. Dear. There's so many films. I'm trying to think on the spot. I can't think. Oh dear. Yeah, Avatar. That's it. Sorry, my mum just reminded me of Avatar. I'm being helped out here. Yeah, Avatar.
Fair enough.
That was a brilliant film.
Avatar's an alright film. I think that a lot of the problem with Avatar is, I think it's made the most money out of any film ever, hasn't it? I think that's...
it's the highest grossing film of all time.
I think the problem Avatar has, in a way, is that it was so successful, everybody expects it to be utterly amazing, and a lot of people kind of watch it, and it's a good film. It's an enjoyable film. It's a fairly obvious storyline. It's not particularly different. The CGI stuff is very cool. I guess the 3D was very cool. I never saw it in 3D. I think the problem...
I did see it in 3D.
You have seen it in 3D. Was it good in 3D?
I did see it in 3D. I tell you now, I'm not a fan of 3D. I mean, at the moment I'm playing Test Drive in 3D. I have a TV that does convert it into 3D. And it's good, but it's a novelty. The only exception was when I saw Avatar. I don't think you could have seen it in 2D. I couldn't have seen it in 2D. If I'd have known that it would have been that good in 3D, which it was, I mean, properly, it was insanely good in 3D. Because of the fact it took, I don't know, however many, 10 years to make or something?
I have no idea, but I could imagine it's quite a while.
Yeah, and it was, I think the whole experience was better in 3D. And I like Avatar because it's such, it's a long film. I think it's 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah,
and that's not the editor's
long.
cut. The editor's cut's even longer. So yeah, it was really good because of how long it was. For me, it kept me into the story all the way through the 2.5 hours. I never once got bored of the story. I never once got bored, to be fair, in the whole film. I really like that. There was something that I don't like, but that's in every film. And I don't know, it was a film that I thought, yes, just they made it right somehow. I don't know how they did it and what they did. They just made it right, and I really enjoyed it. Not for everyone, I will understand. A lot of people were disappointed by it. For various reasons. I know there were a few things that bugged me. One of the things was, oh god, when they do, I can't remember what part of it is, but like when I think it's near the end, when the bloke, the really weird guy with the scars on his face, is fighting the massive dog thing, and you look at it and you just think, no, that's a part that just wouldn't happen, and that bugged me a little bit because that's just too. Why would it? And why does he pull a knife? Why does he pull a 15-foot knife out of his? No, I didn't like that bit. That bit bugged me because you just think that wouldn't happen in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it covered.
Yeah, I think so. On the subject of kind of 3D films, I've never really seen a film that's properly decent in 3D. I never did see Avatar.
Transformers. There's a car there.
Transformers, and now you've caused me to crash in all of that. It's been me that's ended up in the bush. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, as far as 3D film goes, what have I watched in 3D? I can't remember. I watched one of the Resident Evils, and that was kind of all right.
Bugger.
You pressed the wrong button, haven't you?
Yes, I did.
I watched one of the Resident Evils, and that was kind of all right. The problem is the 3D's never really been more than a gimmick in a lot of cases. It's kind of used, but it's never really. They never really make the most of it. Often, I don't know what this is like in other countries, in other cinemas, but often the 3D adverts are more impressive than the actual film. They have like more impressive kind of effects in some of the adverts than they do in the films, and that kind of seems a bit disappointing. I know, I guess it's very, very hard to make an entire film 3D and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons behind that sort of thing. But yeah, it's never really made the most of, I don't think. When we're in 3D films.
Some films.
I've had a spin. I've had a bit of an
Have
error.
you had a spin? Are we going? We need to go left at some point, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Let's go left here.
Yeah, films aren't. There's obviously films. No one is gonna. Like, everyone is not gonna like the same film. There are all going to be different opinions on different films, which is good. You need diversity. You need people that are disagreeing with different things. That's what makes us human. That's part of us. We need to be like that. But yeah, obviously everyone has different opinions, and yeah. So no, I think we've covered that pretty much, haven't we?
I think we have gone over films.
So moving on. Are we
right. Yes, we're moving on next to motorsport. We've had a fair few questions on this topic. Basically, what is our favourite? What is our favourite form of motorsport? I'm fairly sure you can all guess what mine is, and that will of course be V8 Supercars, because it is by far the most entertaining racing that
I keep putting the roof up.
There is on TV. I can't think of a more entertaining sport, more entertaining motorsport anyway, than V8 Supercars. It's still a combination of very big, very powerful, very little control cars, which is what they are, around a interesting variety of circuits. You've got street circuits, you've got purpose-built circuits, you've got very, very short circuits. There are some tracks that are sort of 50-second laps and that kind of thing. And it's you sort of put all that together, and you also have a big field. You have sort of 26, 30 cars going around. It makes for some very, very interesting racing. Also,
are we going the right way, out of curiosity?
No, we've gone completely the wrong way. We need to go this way, I think. Also, well, I have to wait for Daniel. Also, I like the Australian attitude when it comes to sort of V8 Supercars. When they're interviewing the drivers and stuff, everybody sounds like they're having fun. Nobody's sitting there whining at each other. Somebody did something silly. I mean, sure, I'm sure they do get pissed off. I'm sure there have been fights in the pit lane, that kind of thing. But certainly, whenever the drivers are being interviewed and all that kind of thing, it comes across as a far more, I say, friendly attitude than a lot of motorsports do. In fact, more than most motorsports do. And I kind of quite like that. It's kind, I think just overall it's a great motorsport, and I really recommend you watch it. Although it is a nightmare to find in England on TV.
That is the problem. That is
impossible.
I would watch it a lot more. I really like V8 Supercars, but it's never on. I mean, it's on Motors TV occasionally. I think even then it's on Motors TV. The problem is you never quite know when. It's not like a set time. You can sometimes find it on a Sunday. It might be on a Tuesday. Other times it's on a Thursday. I just don't know. I occasionally get lucky and see it. It's not on TV as much as I would like. So, what about Daniel's favourite motorsport? You can probably all guess that one as well. Oh dear. Where are we going? Left?
Left. Yeah, we'll go. Oh god, there's two ways to go left. Left for the crash.
Come on.
Okay, I'm good.
Right, yes. Right, my favourite motorsport. Now, it's going to be... I do like V8 Supercars. I do like them because they're just fantastic. Because of the fact they're just a huge car, 600 plus horsepower, rear-wheel drive, and 30 plus drivers on the grid. Couldn't really ask for more than that, to be honest. That's that's a really fun form of motorsport that I would really love to watch. My favourite, however, is British touring car. I'm sure a lot of you knew that. But yeah, for people that don't, I love British Touring Car. It's just, for me, it's much like V8 Supercars. There's rubbing and, you know, people that occasionally crash into each other, but that's, you know, that's racing. And that's what I love about it. It's sort of like it's not like Formula 1, where if you have the tiniest crash or the tiniest knock, then you lose a stupid amount of time in the pits, and then your aero goes and it all goes completely catastrophically wrong. It's not like that. If you have if someone crashes into the back of you, or even just taps the back of you, then you repay the favour in another corner if they get by, but there's no, oh my god, my aero's completely gone, I can't drive the car. It's not like that. And that's what I love. It's sort of, oh dear, may have had a crash there. It's just people driving cars that they're driving them to the limit, but they're driving them to the limit and beyond occasionally, which makes things even better. And plus you've got rear wheel drive with front wheel drive, which makes things,
front wheel drive are proper race cars. What are they doing there? They should be
Stop
front wheel drive. I've had a spin. I don't like front wheel drive. I like touring cars. It's fun to watch. Sometimes some races can be, well, any motorsport you have good and you can have bad races. I like watching British touring cars sometimes, but it all seems a bit bitchy and whiny. A lot of the times I've seen
it. It's got like that a lot of the time now. It's got more like Formula 1. And if something happens, drivers will go to the stewards and say, oh yes, he did this. Whereas like in the 80s, it was if someone hit you, then you just repay them back in the next corner. Which, I mean, I'm a Plato fan. And there's most of the people that I know, they either support Jason Plato or Matt Neal.
Yeah, I've kind of got that impression when I watch touring cars.
That is pretty much, from a lot of people, that is Jason Plato or Matt Neal. If you're a Matt Neal supporter, then you hate Jason Plato with every being of your body, and vice versa if you support Jason Plato. And it can cause controversy, or controversy, whatever it's called, when you're talking, especially at British Touring Car, when there's an incident with Matt Neal and Jason Plato. I think it was Rockingham last year springs to mind, when Plato and Matt Neal pretty much had a fight in the pit lane.
I do remember that, amazingly. My memory's terrible.
Yeah.
I actually remember that, they were having.
So yeah, they had a bit of a tiff. But I suppose that's part of touring car. That happens. I mean, that was the common thing, when touring car in like the 90s, people just have arguments in the pit lane, and no one would really do anything. They just sort of let them argue, and that was it. But obviously, things have changed. I like the whole front wheel drive versus rear wheel drive thing. It makes things even better, because you get the rear wheel drive cars that can get an insane launch, but the front wheel drive obviously get a worse launch. So most of the time, the rear wheel drives will get ahead of the front wheel drive cars that are faster. But then towards the end of the race, it brings good racing. It's just a really good form of motorsport that I really enjoy watching. And plus, it's not Formula 1 in the sense that, where are you going?
I had a spin. Don't mind me.
It's not like Formula 1 in the sense that you have to. There's like a bajillion people around one person. I mean, I think it was like 2 years ago. I went to Brands Hatch for the first round of touring car when Plato had his. I think it was the year that Plato won in his Chevrolet. And I went there and I found myself like standing in front of Plato, having a chat with him while he's signing my autograph thing that I wanted to do, and I'm just like having a chat with at that time he would have been the champion, of that year. That's what I love about it. You can sort of, I think V8 Supercars is like that as well. It's not, it doesn't.
I would imagine it's a similar kind of thing.
It doesn't give a lot of. There's not a million people there at once, and you can actually see the drivers and occasionally chat to the drivers, which is what I like. So it reminds me of club motorsport.
Yeah,
where you can just chat.
Formula 1 is, I think, kind of the part of the problem is when something gets very, very big, it's sort of more about business than it is about racing. If you look at Formula 1, a lot of decisions that are made related to Formula 1 are business decisions.
How much money can it bring?
Exactly. And that's when things kind of, I wouldn't say get ruined, but things get compromised. in the pursuit of money. Formula One's a very expensive sport, so money is very important when you're talking about Formula One racing. But there are things that are lost when you go down that sort of avenue, which I guess we probably should talk about Formula One, which can make things better, can make things worse, but can also sometimes make things better. I quite like Formula One how it is now. I enjoy watching Formula One races. I watch most of the season. I like the fact that they have DRS, the fact that they have KERS, the fact that the tyres wear out, so they have to do plenty of pit stops, because it makes the racing more interesting. I remember watching Formula One races where there would be about 2 overtakes a race and Schumacher would win everything. That was boring.
Yeah.
At least
that happened like that for about 5 years.
Yeah, and that went on for ages. At least now, okay, Vettel might win the race and that'll be boring, but everybody else will be having an interesting race on the most part. Sure, there are less exciting, there are more exciting races. That's just how motorsport goes. But I like the fact that the tyres wear out after however many laps, and they have to have multiple pit stops, because it makes an interesting thing. Can someone drive smooth enough to get through the race with one less pit stop? I also like that because Raikkonen can normally do that, which is always a good thing.
Raikkonen and Button, they are probably the two most conservative drivers.
They can do that. But no, I like them. I feel quite sorry for Pirelli, who were told, let's make a tyre that wears out to make the racing more interesting, and they did. And then everybody complains because the tyre wears out. Yes, because that's really clever of you. Admittedly, the things that happened at Silverstone with the tyres exploding, that's a bit of a different story. I think that was just a miscalculation. Yeah, it was a mess up by Pirelli.
They messed up, but I wasn't too happy with Pirelli because Hamilton all did. Hamilton's tyre blew out and he was leading the race, and I think that was the first time. If his tyre hadn't blown out, that was the first time he would have won the Silverstone Grand Prix in like 3 years or something.
Yeah,
and that annoyed me. But then you look at it and you think, yeah, okay, it was a miscalculation, it was a mess up, but just sort of like move on. You can't do much when it's happened. It's happened.
It happened. It wasn't particularly clever, but no. At the end of the day, nobody was hurt, which is the important thing. And they haven't had any problems since then. So I'm quite happy to have the tyres that get worn out because it makes the racing more interesting. I wouldn't mind them having fuel pit stops and that kind of thing, because it gives another element of strategy. Now I can perfectly understand why people say, oh well, it's making the racing kind of fake, it's more about strategy than it is about drivers. But let's face it, Formula One, they all drive different cars, so even if they took out all of that kind of thing, it's still not going to be about pure driver skill, because everybody's in a different car. If you want to watch pure driver skill, you watch something like V8 Supercars or one make race series, where everybody drives the same car, and that normally creates very close racing. So yeah, I prefer Formula One as it is now. I like all the extra things, and the fact they have DRS and they have KERS that makes overtaking more probable. You might argue that it makes overtaking a little less spectacular at times, but I'd rather have lots of action going on than sort of wait a whole season to have 2 good overtakes. It's part of the reason.
It was like.
It was. For our younger viewers, not very much happened in the older races.
Boring.
There were a few good races, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it was just processional. And that's part of the reason why something like NASCAR is very popular. I know a lot of English people don't understand why NASCAR is popular. I have watched a few NASCAR races. It's exciting because everybody's close together on the road. There's lots of overtaking. I can't stand American commentators when it comes to NASCAR, but that's just because English have a different style to the Americans. So it does my head in if I watch too much. But the actual sort of on-track racing in NASCAR is very exciting.
The racing itself is brilliant.
Because it's very close, it's very fast. If they have a crash, it's a very big crash. And that's why NASCAR is so popular, despite the fact that they just go around in circles. It's because everybody's close together, and that makes the racing exciting. And if Formula One has a few sort of aids to make the racing closer, then that's fine by me. The reason why they have the aids and the reason why it's so hard to overtake is because the car is so advanced that they kind of need it. Like the amount they rely on aero and all of that sort of thing makes it very, very hard to overtake in Formula One cars. So yeah, I'm happy with how Formula One is at the moment. I was reading somewhere something that was quite concerning. That they basically don't know who's going to be supplying the tyres next year. I think Pirelli want to carry on their deal for fairly obvious reasons, Michelin are being thought of as coming in, and they want to kind of go back to the old tyres that last for an entire race, and you make one pit stop and that's it. And that's kind of concerning because that will make Formula 1 a little bit more boring. In fact, actually, there's an even bigger issue as well, in that Michelin wants to introduce bigger wheels. Now, some of you might know this, but Formula 1 cars have 13-inch wheels. They have had for a very long time. Okay, they look a lot bigger because they have huge tyres on them, but they have 13-inch wheels. Now, that's fine. That's kind of a bit of a tradition. The problem is Michelin say, well, that's not really relevant to road cars because road cars don't have that smaller wheel. Well, fair enough. Michelin want to use a lot bigger wheels. Here's the problem. You give a Formula 1 car bigger wheels, it means you can have bigger brakes. A lot bigger brakes as well. So you put bigger brakes on a Formula 1 car, that means it's going to stop a hell of a lot quicker. They already stop pretty damn sharpish, so if you give them a much bigger brake, they're going to stop really very fast. Okay? I don't know whether this car's fallen off the road. You make the cars stop even quicker, they're going to be even smaller braking zones. And where do most of your overtaking happen? In the braking zone. So there's going to be even less overtaking. So I don't want Michelin taking over if they're going to do that. I mean, if they stay with the same wheels and the same style of tyre, then I don't care who makes it. But yeah, I want exciting Formula 1. If that means you have to add in a little bit of artificial things, not even artificial, they're just technology things that help make the cars go quicker in certain places. That's fine by me. Yeah, there you go. That's what Formula 1's supposed to be. It's supposed to be all about sort of the fastest possible cars.
Formula 1, that is the name of it. The highest formula you can race in. That is designed. Formula 1 is designed so that the most technologically advanced things can be raced, which I think is good. I mean, that's how it that's how it should be, and that's how it is at the moment. Why change something that is good in the first place? Okay, I know change can sometimes be good, but that isn't the case all the time. I mean, the whole Michelin things, you want to get, bigger tyres on that. Yeah, okay, that's change. That could necessarily be good, but if it's good already, why change? I know it's all down to with money, and Bernie's probably thinking, I can make another however many millions of pounds.
Yeah, that's a cynical view on it. But
yeah, but it's just why change something that is good anyway? I don't see the point.
Yeah, I think the important thing also to point out there is we'll get off the motorway at some point. The important thing to point out is you'll probably have listened to us and then you'll say, well, why don't they have traction control? Why don't they have active suspension? And all of that kind of thing. Now, there does become a limit to it. There does have to be some rules. Otherwise, it basically becomes who has the most money wins.
Which is McLaren, Red Bull and Ferrari.
Yeah, basically. And that was what Formula 1 was like at one point, and that is why they have brought in all these restrictions to try and actually make it possible for more than 3 teams to compete. Because more cars on the grid makes things more exciting. That's basically how things work. So
yeah,
well,
I think we've covered that.
I think we've covered Formula 1 very well and thoroughly in depth there. So I enjoy Formula 1. It's not quite as exciting as the likes of V8 Supercars or touring cars.
I do apologise for the party that was in that.
You've just ruined someone's Hindu.
I have.
Anyway, yes, that's covered motorsport quite thoroughly. I think we are going to end the video there as well for now. Because amazingly, test drive servers is held up for 40 minutes, and that's a fairly rare thing. So, yes, thank you very much to everybody who is listening and watching. I suspect most of you will probably have given up watching because not much was happening for large portions of that. We were just on the motorway. As you spend most of your time when you're driving anywhere. Anyway, yes, thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you would like to see more of these, then please do leave a like and leave a comment, and I'm sure we will waffle on about some random stuff next week. If you have questions, if you have topics you would like to see us talk about, or you would like to answer, or you'd like us to answer, there we go. My mind is utterly fried after this. Yeah, if you have stuff that you would like us to talk about, have questions you would like us to answer, you can submit them to us on our forums and we will go through them. We had intended to cover a lot more today, but we got talking about motorsport, and that took up much time.
A lot, and that takes up a hell of a lot of time, especially with us.
There's much to talk about when it comes to motorsport. Anyway, that is it for today, so thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye, guys.